Welcome to Digital Advertising and Marketing 101 in our first lesson. This is Introduction to Digital Ads. In this course, we're going to cover a number of topics, starting with the Interactive Advertising Bureau, or the IAB, banner ads, video ads, then rich media, takeovers and skins, social media, audio ads, and finally, search ads. The Interactive Advertising Bureau. This was founded in '96, and essentially it sets standards for all ad specs as well as buying and selling guidelines. It's comprised of over 650 media and tech companies. These are advertisers, ad agencies, these are ad networks, people who sell ads, who buy ads, anybody involved in the buying and selling of digital ads. It's important to note this is not a legal or government body, but it was started to help everyone set general rules and guidelines. When the web first came about and people wanted to advertise, everyone had their own website, and they said, I'm going to go out and say, if you want to advertise on my site, I will sell you space. And online, everything is set in a pixel. So people can make up their own ad sizes. One website might have a 100 by 100, one might have a 300 by 300, and one might have a whole page takeover. It really varied. So if you were an advertiser and you wanted to advertise on 10 different websites, you might have to make 10 different ad sizes. So pretty quickly it was obvious that that wasn't really the best way to operate. So the IAB was formed, and essentially they said, okay, we're going to look at a lot of the common sizes that we're seeing across the web, and we're going to come up with a standard set of them. We're going to say, these are what we recommend everybody use. And again, you don't have to use them. There's nothing requiring you to use them. But essentially it said, if you use these particular ad sizes, then you're going to get more business, because an advertiser could make one ad size and run it on any website that adhered to the IAB standards. So very, very important organization. Today they're still very relevant. They are constantly setting new guidelines for sizes as the web evolves, and there's a growth in mobile and there's a growth in rich media and video. They will update their standards and say, okay, here's what we recommend for mobile, here's what we recommend for this unit, for this type of website, for this type of computer. They also set guidelines for contracts. So one example is they said the standard out clause for a buy should be 14 days. That means that if you're an advertiser and you commit to a buy with a website, but then after a little while you have to cancel that buy, you could cancel it for a number of reasons. Maybe that website isn't performing well, maybe your budget was cut, maybe sales were down. For whatever reason, you need to cancel that contract. The IAB says you have to give them a 14-day notice before officially canceling that. So within those 14 days, the website can continue to run those ads, and you still have to pay them for the contracted amount over those 14 days. That is kind of a good cushion so that advertisers don't go out, set up a buy, sign a contract, and then immediately turn around and cancel it. It gives everybody a little bit of a safety net. So in a lot of contracts, there will be a line item saying, following standard IAB practices. If for whatever reason you decide you're going to change that or change any other part of the contract, that can be manually edited. But for the most part, people just go with the IAB standards. Banner ads. Banner ads are essentially what you ignore on a website. So everyone has seen one, and on this particular website we have a screenshot of break.com, which has a couple of banner ads, and if you've been to a website, these are pretty easy to call out. So what a banner ad is, like I said before, it's measured in pixels, and the four sizes, the standard, the most common that were set by the IAB were a leaderboard, skyscraper, and a box. On this page we have a couple examples of that. So you see the two ad units that we just highlighted was the leaderboard and the box. On the very top, the Jeep ad is your leaderboard, that is a 728 by 90, and to the right you have a box that is a 300 by 250. Again, these are across the web. You will see them on probably 90+% of any website that you go to. However, like I said, they are ignored quite frequently. So the average click-through rate on one of these, and click-through rate means percentage of people who actually click on it, pretty obvious, is 0.09%. That means less than 1 in 1,000 people click on a banner ad. So click-through rate is a pretty standard measurement for advertisers, but we know that people aren't clicking on them. So that is becoming less and less of an issue, especially for somebody like Jeep. That's a really good example here. Jeep does not expect you to see an ad on break.com, go to the website, and buy a Jeep, but they know it's awareness. And these are cheap ads. They can run literally millions of them. And over time, they hope that you see enough of them. Maybe subconsciously you don't notice it, but in a couple of months, maybe 6 months down the road, a year down the road, you're going to be looking for a car and you're thinking, okay, what comes to mind? Maybe Jeep comes to mind because you've been exposed to thousands or millions of these ads over the past however many months and weeks. Video ads. Video ads are great as your workhorse for driving your message and getting your awareness out there. Obviously, they utilize the sight, sound, and motion, and they're hard to miss. And especially if you're on a website where you have a large player, they take up a majority of the screen. So this is a screenshot of YouTube. I'm sure anybody who has used the internet has been to YouTube, and you're pretty familiar with this screen. This is a ad by Geico. So we do a little highlight there, but you don't really need that. That is obviously the video ad there. There are a number of different types of video ads. They range from pre-roll, mid-roll, to post-roll. The pre-roll is probably what you're most used to. That's when you go to YouTube, you want to watch content, and before you watch that content, you get an ad, and that is running a precursor to the content you're actually looking to watch. If you are watching a long video, so if you're on Hulu, for example, and you're watching a TV show, they have multiple breaks within the actual content that you're watching. That is a mid-roll. And then post-roll is something that comes up after the content you went to watch is over. Common length is similar to TV. You have a 30-second or a 15-second. As you might imagine, 15 seconds usually have better completion rates. You're less likely to skip them. Whereas 30s are good, and they're run in particular environments. If you're on Hulu, people are likely to watch a 30-second ad because you're there to watch a half-hour, an hour-long program. You don't mind 30 seconds. There are two general types of players. Pre-roll is your YouTube, your CNN, your ESPN. That is like your short clips online. And then a full episode player. That's your Hulu, your ABC, your Fox, your CBS. That's where you go to watch, like I said, a long-form content or a TV show, something like that. So you're going to be there for a longer period of time. The most common measurement for videos is video completion rate. The average online for a pre-roll, something that you might see on ESPN or CNN, is about 64%. That means 64% of everybody who's exposed to that ad watches it to completion. And except for the case where you can skip it, the only way you wouldn't watch it to completion is by leaving the site completely, which is fairly common. I'm sure we've all done it. If you go to a site and you want to watch a 45-second clip and you get served a 30-second ad, you might say, screw it, it's not worth it, and you close your browser, you close your tab, and you move on. For a full episode player, that is a much higher completion rate. 85% is kind of the average, but oftentimes you see 99 or 100% completion because in that situation, you're dedicating a certain amount of time. You might be dedicating half an hour to watch a show. You're not going to stop watching an episode of Family Guy because there's an ad in the middle of it or a 30-second ad at the beginning. You know what you're getting into, so people watch it to completion. Some of these ads are skippable. I'm sure everyone's seen that. This Geico example actually was kind of making fun of that. It's important to note when these ads are skipped, advertisers do not pay for them. So you usually have 5 seconds before you can actually skip the ad. At that point, as soon as you play skip, the ad's gone. Advertiser doesn't pay for it. They only pay when the video is watched to completion. That does mean if you have a 30-second ad, somebody watches 29 seconds of it and then skips it, the advertiser doesn't pay for it. So there are general ways of buying that, cost per completed view. There are averages that you see on YouTube. They can range anywhere from 2 cents to 10 cents plus for a completed view. The range in cost really varies depending on how good your creative is, how enticing it is, the type of content you're around, what kind of audience you're targeting, if people are likely to skip or not. So those are all pretty important things to keep in mind when you're running a video ad. Rich media. So I call this a luxury car of display ads. I'm sure everybody has seen these. You might find them distracting. You might find them invasive. But essentially, rich media is taking your standard IAB ad unit and doing something extra with it. That could expand. Maybe it plays video. Maybe it's got some interactive feature in it. I've got an example here of a Skittles ad. So what we'll see is that you have two ads, your 728 by 90 and your box. And now if you actually go and click where that guy is, you have a bunch of people that start to come up over and onto the screen. This level of ad is usually negotiated ahead of time. AOL Music, for example. So an advertiser might go directly to AOL and say, we want to do this ad. Where can we run it? Where do you have these two ad units that work together? And they'll work with the partner to create this, to do timing. Obviously, it's very specific where these people are landing and walking around. You kind of have to know the website to do that. But obviously, you would notice this if you were online. So a lot of advertisers like to do rich media because it is great for awareness. Maybe it is a little invasive, maybe it's annoying, but it gets the message across and you're going to notice it. These have much, much higher click-through rates, much, much higher engagement rates. As we mentioned before, the average click-through rate for a banner is about 0.09%. For a rich media unit like this, you could see 2% plus. So that's a huge difference. So it is more expensive, but the performance is so much higher that if that's important to you, if you want people to engage with it, if you want people to click to the website and take a certain action, these are definitely a good option.